Jai Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Welcome everybody to morning Srimad Bhagavatam class at Shri Shri Radha Kalashandi Dham. My name is Nanda-braja Das. I want to welcome so many guests here. Thank you so much for everyone coming. And just want to let you know that you might see a few things a little bit different around the temple, like what's with this get up? Well, at Radha Kalashandi Dham here we have a project that we started in the beginning of the year called Krishna House. You may have heard of this program in Gainesville. Very, very successful program, making many devotees over the last 10 years. I believe the numbers over 350 devotees have come through Gainesville and trained up, mostly being Westerners. So we picked up this program. And so you'll see some of the adjustments made to the idea of what's best for a newcomer, what's best for somebody's point of view of who's coming from a Western background possibly, and experiencing Krishna consciousness for the first time. And the question might come sometimes is like, well, what about the senior devotees? Yes, devotee care is so important. We want to see everybody taken care of. The one thing we found though is very interesting that this is part of devotee care, in the sense that when a new bhakta or bhaktin comes into the temple, we've experienced this thing called bhakta bliss, right? You guys heard of this bhakta bliss? Well, the thing about bhakta bliss is it's like a father who has a child who wants to live vicariously through their child. So they're trying to help them become a baseball player or a doctor or this or that. Well, us as devotees, we get this very fortunate thing that we get to live vicariously through the new bhakta. So their new bhakta bliss, we actually get to experience it too. So this is part of the devotee care that we perform here at Radha Kalashandi Dham. So I guess what I'm asking too is if you could be a little patient in some of the things that are different. For instance, our curriculum right here, we're going to go over quite a few verses, the translations, and then we're going to go back and really focus on a few themes through it. So can I get some cartels, please, Prabhu? By the way, anybody's welcome to sit at the tables that would like to. Thank you, Prabhuji. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Nanda-braja jana ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Kalashanji ki jai. Shri the Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll read the invocations and translation together, please. Narayanam namaskrityam dharam chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to the Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayasa abreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utamasloke bhaktir bhavati naistaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and the loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyantimarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Mityam Yena Chasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 12. We started at the beginning of the chapter, and now we'll, the first half, and now we'll be going to basically the second half. In the first half, we understand at the end that Brahma he blooped. He's gotten attracted to one of his daughters that he created. He having these lusty desires towards her. And then the sages are saying, look, Brahma, you can't do this. This is not okay. And so at the very end, Brahma understands and repents for, he's ashamed of his activities. So we start off at 33. If we could pull up text 33, and then what we'll do first is we'll read the translations, and then we'll come back to text 34, please. Do we have a mic? I'll start, and then when we get a mic, we'll pass it along. Text 33. The father of all the Prajapatis, Brahma, this seeing all his Prajapati sons speaking in that way, became very much ashamed, and at once gave up the body he had accepted. Later that body appeared in all directions as a dangerous fog in the darkness. 34. Once upon a time, when Brahma was thinking of how to create the worlds as in the past millennium, the 4 Vedas, which contain all varieties of knowledge, became manifested from his 4 mouths. The 4 kinds of paraphernalia for conducting the fire sacrifice became manifest: the performance, the chanter, the offer, the fire, and the action performed in terms of the supplementary Vedas. Also, the 4 principles of religiosity, truth, austerity, mercy, and cleanliness, and the duties in the 4 social orders all became manifest.
Vidura said, O great sage, whose only wealth is penance, kindly explain to me how and with whose help Brahma established the Vedic knowledge which emanated from his mouth.
Maitreya said, beginning from the front face of Brahma, gradually the 4 Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva became manifested. Thereafter, Vedic hymns, which had not been produced before, priestly rituals, the subject matters of the recitation, and transcendental activities were all established one after another.
He also created the medical science, military art, musical art, and architectural science, all from the Vedas. They all emanated one after another, beginning from the front face.
Then he created the 5th Veda, the Puranas and the histories, from all his mouths, since he could see all the past, present, and future.
All the different varieties of fire sacrifices, Shodashi, Ukta, Purishi, Agni-Yustama, Aptoryama, Atiratra, Vajapeya, and Goshava, became manifested from the eastern mouth of Brahma.
Education, charity, penance, and truth are said to be the 4 legs of religion. And to learn this, there are 4 orders of life with different classifications of castes according to vocation. Brahma created all these in systematic order.
Then the thread ceremony for the twice-born was inaugurated, as were the rules to be followed for at least 1 year after acceptance of the Vedas. Rules for observing complete abstinence from sex life, vocations in terms of Vedic injunctions, various professional duties in household life, and the method of maintaining a livelihood without anyone's cooperation by picking up rejected grains.
The 4 divisions of retired life are the Vikhanas, Nasas, Valakhyas, the Odambaras, and Pinaps. The 4 divisions of the renounced order of life are the Kutichaksha, Bahavodas, Hamsas, and Nishkriyas. All these were manifested from Brahma.
The science of logical argument, the Vedic goals of life, and also law and order, moral codes, and the celebrated hymns, Bu, Buva, and Sva, all became manifested from the mouths of Brahma.
Can you skip to 48? Skip to 48.
And the pranava, Omkara, was manifested from his heart.
Skip to 48 here.
Huh?
We're just skipping
Where
to
did I leave
48.
off?
Yes, please.
I lost my place.
We're at 48 now.
Oh,
Brahma is the personal representation.
Brahma is the personal representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the source of transcendental sound, and is therefore above the conceptions of manifested and unmanifested. Brahma is the complete form of the absolute truth and is infested with multifarious.
Therefore, Brahma accepted another body in which sex life was not forbidden, and thus he engaged himself in the matter of further creation. O son of the Kurus, when Brahma saw that in spite of the presence of the sages of great potency, there was no sufficient increase in population, he seriously began to consider how the population could be increased. Can you yeah, go ahead, please.
Brahma thought to himself, alas, it is wonderful that in spite of my being scattered all over, there is still insufficient population throughout the universe. There is no other cause for this misfortune but destiny.
While he was thus absorbed in contemplation and was observing the supernatural power, two other forms generated from his body are still celebrated as the body of Brahma.
The two newly separated bodies united together in a sexual relationship. Out of them, the one who had the male form became known as the Manu, named Svayambhuva, and the woman became known as Satarupa, the queen of the great soul Manu.
Thereafter, by sex indulgence, they gradually increased generations of population one after another.
Go ahead, read the next one, please.
O son of Bharata, in due course of time, he, Manu, begot in Satarupa 5 children, 2 sons, Priyavrata and Uttanapada, and 3 daughters, Akuti, Devahuti, and Prashuti.
The father Manu handed over his first daughter, Akuti, to the sage Ruchi, and the middle daughter, Devahuti, to the sage Kardama, and to the youngest, Prasuti, to Daksha. For them, all the world filled with population. Okay, if we can go back to 34, please. I'm going rogue here. Okay. Kadachid dayata srastur. Kadachid dayata srastur. Veda asmis shatur mukyat. Veda asams chatur mukyat. Gatam shreyakshayamiyam lokan. Gatam shreyakshayamiyam lokan. Samavetanyata pura. Samavetanyata pura. Please, Bolo. Samavetanyata pura. Kadachidayata srastur. Veda asman shatur mukat.
lokan
Katam Saisyamaham Lokan
Samavedam yata pura
Samavetan Yata Pura Kadachid Dayata Sastur Veda Asam Shatur Mukat Katam Saisyamaham Lokan Samavetan Yata Pura. Synonyms, please. Together, Kadich, once upon a time, Dayataha, while contemplating, Strastu, Abrahma, Vedaha, the Vedic literature, Asan, became manifested, Chatu Mukat, from the 4 mounts, Vasam Shrikasami, how shall I create, Aham, myself, Lokan, all these worlds, Samavetan, assembled, Yata, as they were, Pura, in the past. Somebody please would read the translation and purport. Whoever's the mic.
Once upon a time, when Brahma was thinking of how to create the worlds as in the past millennium, the 4 Vedas, which contain all varieties of knowledge, became manifested from his 4 mouths.
As a fire can consume anything and everything without being contaminated, so, by the grace of the Lord, the fire of Brahma's greatness consumed his desire for the sinful act of sex with his daughter. The Vedas are the source of all knowledge, and they were first revealed to Brahma by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Brahma was thinking of recreating the material world, Brahma is powerful by dint of his devotional service unto the Lord, and the Lord is always ready to forgive his devotees. If by chance he falls down from the noble path of devotional service, the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.42 confirms this as follows.
Paramulam Bhayacha Yasya Tvaktvan Bhavasya Hare Paresha Vikarma Yacho Pititam Katanchid Daihonti Sarvam Hirdisan Vista.
Any person who is engaged 100% in the transcendental loving service of the Lord at his lotus feet is very dear to the personality of Godhead Hari, and the Lord, being situated in the heart of the devotee, excuses all kinds of sins committed by chance. It was never expected that a great personality like Brahma would ever think of sex indulgence with his daughter. The example shown by Brahma only suggests that the power of material nature is so strong that it can act upon everyone, even Brahma. Brahma was saved by the mercy of the Lord with a little punishment, but by the grace of the Lord he did not lose his prestige as a great Brahma.
Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. So as we spoke before in the last class, how strong material nature can be. It's so strong that we constantly must make sure that we're following in the footsteps of the previous Charya and thinking of Krishna. Even Lord Brahma, the creator of this universe, has fallen into lust because of material nature. But Krishna is so merciful that in understanding that this material nature is so strong, that he is always trying to help his devotee. And so you can see that Lord Brahma, being embarrassed about what happened, he is embarrassed, but what does he do? Does he sulk in his sorrow of his mistake? Does he focus on, this great sin that he's made? No. What Brahma does is he simply becomes Krishna conscious again, and then begins with his duty, begins with his service, right? So I'd like to tell a little story about Maharaj Bharat, who also was a great devotee of the Lord, who got distracted by material nature, but also he was redeemed by his devotional service and the mercy of Krishna. So Maharaj Bharat was a great king. He was very, very, very famous for how he ruled his citizens, his pious activities. He would even go on pilgrimage to speak to the sages. But this one time, while he was out in the forest, he came across a river. Maybe instead of Lord Brahma, we can get a picture of Maharaj Bharat. That'd be cool. Maharaj Bharat was walking in the forest and he came across a river, right? And in this river, there was a pregnant deer. But she became scared by, was it a lion? Right? A lion, I believe, scared her. And it caused her to miscarriage. But the doe remained alive, but the mother deer passed away. And Maharaj Bharat, seeing this, he decided that it was his duty to take care of the deer. And so over time, he started taking care of the deer, and the more and more his consciousness and thoughts were surrounded by taking care of the deer. So you can imagine that here we show him, doing a fire sacrifice, but you can imagine, in our situation that he's chanting Hare Krishna, but instead of thinking Krishna, he's thinking about the doe, right? Have you ever had that experience where you're chanting Hare Krishna, but maybe you're not thinking of something that's so Krishna consciousness, or you're not thinking about Krishna? There we go. So Maharaj Bharat, being attracted so much by the deer, he woke up from his meditation and he saw that the deer was gone. And he was quite bewildered. He didn't know what to do. He's thinking, what happened to my deer? What will happen? What can, if this deer doesn't have me to protect it, then who knows what can happen? So he decided to go on to to look for the deer. But Maharaj Bharat, he fell into a crevice trying to find the deer, and his injuries were such that he was going to leave his body. So at the time of leaving his body, what was Maharaj Bharat thinking of? Anybody have a guess? Michael or Jose? You think he was thinking about Krishna? That would be the right thing, right? He's thinking about the deer. How will this deer be protected? Who will feed it? Who will this? I mean, a lot of parents are going, That's sometimes when I'm chanting Hare Krishna, I'm thinking about how my son or daughter or my child, how will they eat? Are they causing problems at school? So many things maybe where you're chanting Hare Krishna. So in his next life, he became a deer, because this was his thoughts when he was dying. But because of his pious activities and the mercy of the Lord, he was able to remember his past life. And so he realized as a deer, okay, I'm not going to do this again, so what can I do to become more Krishna conscious? Well, he decided to go to those places where he would pilgrimage before and listen to the sages. So as a deer, he spent all of his time around the sages listening to Krishna conscious, listening to things like Srimad Bhagavatam. So at the time of his leaving his body as a deer, he prayed to Krishna, please help me that I may make some advancement, that I may, continue my devotional service, that I may become a devotee. It says in the Bhagavad Gita that somebody who is practicing Krishna consciousness but falls down, they get the opportunity to live in two types of families. What is one of them? A wealthy family, an autocristic family, right? And what's the other opportunity that the devotee gets? Anybody? Pious family, a devotee family, right? Yeah, a family of devotees. So Maharaj Bharat was lucky enough to be born, I don't know if we can say lucky, but anyways, he was born of a autocristic family. So his father, of course, having the son, wanted to teach him so many different things, but the thing Maharaj Bharat decided to do in this life, he decided that he wanted to remain completely unattached to material nature. He learned his lesson, right? He said, I don't want to do this again. So he would act as if he was blind, deaf, and dumb. And his family getting frustrated with this because they were trying to teach him, continually being frustrated, they were basically like, get moving on. So the story goes that Maharaj Bharat was taken into as a slave, basically, to work. And at one point, the king was walking by, and they were carrying him on a palanquin. And the servants became tired, and they needed some help. So they told Maharaj Bharat, who was I'm missing the word right now. Judd Bart. There we go. Thank you. Judd Bart at this time, he said they asked him to help. But the thing is that when Judd Bart was walking the palanquin, he was going back and forth, shaking the palanquin. It was going up and down. It wasn't a very smooth ride. And the king was wanting to know what was going on. He didn't understand what is so hard about this? Are you stupid? Well, he's deaf, blind, and showing dumb. So, can anybody guess the reason of why Maharaj Bharat was so shaky in his carrying of the palanquin? There were ants, right? So he didn't want to walk on the ants. And so they tried to correct him. There's little ants right there. They tried to correct him, but when he went again, Maharaj Bharat did the same thing, right? He just did it. So the king gets off his palanquin and starts to condemn, basically, Maharaj Bharat. What are you doing? How hard can this be? Why can't you do this? And Maharaj Bharat broke out of his state of being dumb and instructed the king out of his mercy, out of his desire to spread Krishna consciousness. He was part of the Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement, wanting to spread Krishna consciousness. And he said, you're a king at this time, and I am a servant. But next life, I may be the king, and you may be the servant. These bodies are temporary. We are the soul. And you've forgotten this. You're simply just on a platform of the material body. So Maharaj starts speaking Bhagavad Gita. You're not this body. You're a servant of Krishna. You should focus on your relationship with Krishna. And what did the king do? The king immediately falls down at the feet of Judd Bart and asking forgiveness. So why are we telling this story? We're telling this story because material nature is very strong. It can cause us fall down. It can cause us so many troubles. It will, right? You will experience at some point in your Krishna consciousness some type of material nature that is bewildering to you. But our devotional service and our pious activities to the Supreme Lord are creating a relationship with Him that He's always thinking of us, that He's always thinking of for our betterment. And so similarly in the story of Maharaj Bharat, Krishna has given him this mercy to remember his past lives, and so that he can get free of material nature. However, the thing is that we hear about the mercy of the Lord, and the devotee, as a new devotee, this can be quite attractive, right? Oh, Krishna will forgive me for my sins, right? He'll forgive me for my mishaps. All I have to do is chant Hare Krishna. However, there's each day we speak on the 10 offenses to the holy name. Each day in the temple and at Krishna house we do it once a week, right? And what's the 7th offense to the holy name? Jose, do you remember, or can you guess with the subject of what we're talking about? No? Anna? Yes. We shouldn't commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting Hare Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada expands on this in the Nectar of Instruction, verse 1. In the 6th canto, we'll read about Maharaj Parikshit asking more questions. He's been asking so many questions to Sukadev Goswami. But he asked the particular question. He says, why is it that people ask for atonement, but then continue to do sinful activities? And Sukadev Goswami says this is a very, very good question. And he starts to compare it to an elephant who takes a nice bath, right? And then after they come and take the nice bath, they come and they throw dirt back on themselves. So this process of asking for atonement or making some kind of atonement and then committing sinful activities is pretty ridiculous because we're just throwing dirt on ourselves, cleaning, throwing dirt off. So Srila Prabhupada explains Sukadeva Goswami and Srila Prabhupada in the Nectar explain that real prayaschita, sorry, I forgot the word, prayaschita, or atonement, means to come to Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that he explains the different intelligence of people, right? There's three different kinds of intelligence. First, somebody needs to, somebody might they hear from the law books, or they hear from knowledge, and they understand it, right? No need to experience it. This is first class intelligence. Second class intelligence has to see it demonstrated. So for instance, Srila Prabhupada explains the thief. An intelligent person knows that if you steal, you're going to get in trouble, don't do it. Okay, I'm not going to steal. The second intelligence, they have to see somebody steal themselves. And they see them being punished, and they say, oh, that's enough. I seen this, I saw my brother put his hand on the fire, he got burnt. Nope, no good. And third class intelligence is the person who hears about it and sees it, but still has to experience it themselves. They heard, don't do this, do not steal. They heard, don't touch the fire. They saw somebody who got stole and went to prison. They also seen somebody touch the fire and get burnt, but they go, you know what, let me, oh, yep, it works. So this is third class intelligence. So the third class intelligence is unfortunately, that's us in this situation. Because why? Because we keep on trying to abstract happiness through material nature, and we keep getting burnt, and we keep getting burnt, and we keep getting burnt. But we should start to use our intelligence and start to hear from the previous acharyas, from our teachers, about what true knowledge is. And this true knowledge is coming to Krishna consciousness. And therefore, coming to Krishna consciousness means we lose the attraction for material sense gratification, and we start to attract to the spiritual nature, our Krishna consciousness. So, if we will make mistakes, we will, matter of fact, I was thinking about, we were talking, well, actually, we will make mistakes, and material nature will overwhelm us. But the important part is that we shake it off and we continue our Krishna consciousness. But we must not do it in the sense of, actually, here's what my thought was, is Drista said the other day, the first look is an accident, right? But the second look, that's your choice. And we were talking about maybe glancing at a pretty woman or something for a brahmachari, or the opposite gender for the female, right? And we actually have an explanation of this too, or a story about this, because we have the story of Junior Haridas. Junior Haridas was a sannyasi, a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya is known for his opening up the storehouse of love of Krishna. The most merciful incarnation of Krishna. So merciful, just giving out Krishna consciousness. But in the story of Haridas, Junior Haridas, is that as a sannyasi, he took a glance at a woman, a lustful glance. And it reminds me of this thing is, so Junior Haridas wasn't just accidentally, one look. He decided to look a second, you could say. He was looking a little bit too long. And Lord Chaitanya recognized this right away. And he condemned, he banished Haridas, Junior Haridas, from the association of Lord Chaitanya. So we wonder, we hear of Lord Chaitanya's mercy, Lord Nityananda's mercy in the sense of Jagarai and Madai, and how merciful he is to the devotees and stuff. But why, in this case, was Lord Chaitanya so strict on Junior Haridas? Yes, Drista, please.
I remember reading that he was so strict because his special mercy on those close to him is how strict he is. But then also, as Lord Chaitanya is establishing this Krishna consciousness movement, he leaves no room for any deviant philosophies. Mm-hmm. So the slightest trace of some, like Sahajism or something, he completely was very strong against it, because he knew that in the future, someone could say, oh, Lord Chaitanya permitted this, why can't we do it now? But actually, Lord Chaitanya was very strong.
Very good point. Some might call this hypocrisy. Lord Chaitanya does not... do you have some? Yeah.
I was going to say that Lord Chaitanya was especially heavy with Junior Haridas because he was a sannyasi.
Yes.
If he had been, a grihasta or brahmachari or, would have been probably a little more tolerable, but because sannyasis are the leaders of society, and so, if you have a sannyasi who's acting improperly, then it's a big problem. It affects all the other members of society. Whereas if a grihasta looks at somebody, then it's kind of like, yeah, he's whatever, But sannyasi does it, it's a big problem, especially because that particular ashram is all about not doing that.
Yes. Yes. I heard it described that Lord Chaitanya doesn't have any room for hypocrisy, that he would not allow hypocrisy. This is the one thing that Lord Chaitanya has no budge in. And so this hypocrisy of Haridas being a sannyasi and preaching Krishna consciousness, his job, his duty being to preach Krishna consciousness, him having this hypocrisy of lustfully glancing at a person, there was no room for it. I actually had a experience in this hypocrisy that I was given not too long ago. I was mentioning that we started this Krishna House project, and for 19 years I had a beard, and I was told that by Kalakanta Prabhu, who started this project, he said, Nanda-braja, we have this in our memorandum of understanding. So we have this thing called a memorandum of understanding, and it helps us to understand that this is a spiritual place, not just a dorm. It's not just some place that we come and just spend the night and kind of just, we do some spiritual activities. These are the things that help us to make sure that this ashram is being used for a spiritual place. And one of the things was we asked the students to be clean shaved. And my kids, my daughter's 18 and my son's 16, they've literally never seen me without a beard. My wife, we were married, we've been married for 19 years, and I've had a beard for that. So I was like, he was like, so Nanda-braja, would you mind shaving, because, it's in the memorandum of understanding. And I was like, at first I was like, no, this is my beard, And then he explained this. He said, for the perspective of don't be a hypocrite, to the students. And I was like, once he said that, in my heart, from the instructions of a senior devotee, I was like, okay, no problem. I'm going to do this. And so I was talking to him, and I was like, well, my wife, really likes my... And he's like, so he explained to me that Srila Prabhupada would ask us to shave the beard because facial hair is often made to attract the opposite gender. And so I was explaining to him how much my wife liked it, and he goes, exactly my point. He goes, that's my point. I was like, okay, touche. So my point in talking about this is that we will be given opportunities to make light of our hypocrisies, and we have a choice. Am I going to continue to try to please Krishna and willing to be austere in some place? For me, that was an austerity. It wasn't that big of a deal. I'm not like, but it was kind of a big deal for me at the time. So we must follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas to perform Krishna consciousness nicely. This includes not making offenses in the strength of or committing sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name. We don't say, Krishna, you're my friend. This is going to happen probably in most of our early life. We make a mistake and we go to ask Krishna for forgiveness. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the sense of you have a father or a best friend and you got ripped off by some guy in I got this land in Bermuda, come buy it. And you're like, oh yeah, here's $10,000. He steals your money and you go, hey friend, I just lost $10,000. I got scammed. Could you help me out? Because I can't make my rent, They go, sure. But the second time, Prabhu, I was in Las Vegas and a drink fell in my mouth. I don't know. And then I gambled, so much money away. Can you help me because I need my rent? Anyways, the point is that we need to learn from our mistakes. We have choices, like Haridas, or the point that Drista was making. The first look, okay, this is just material nature. But we have a choice to make that second look. We've also been talking about this in Bhagavad Gita, right? What's the first, the fall down of the jiva soul? What's the first step? Jose, you know this. 6 of them. Huh? It's contemplation of the sense objects, right? Contemplation of the 6. What's the second one? This is going to be on our test. We're doing Bhakti Shastri through Krishna House, and this is going to be on our test. So I'm helping Jose a little bit here.
Attachment.
Attachment, right? And then after attachment?
And lust.
Once lust happens, we won't go through the rest of them, but once lust happens, what's going on?
Anger.
We're spiraling out of control. Once lust hits, it's like, But when we, in the first 2 steps, we have a chance to use our intelligence to get back on track, right? So we want to strengthen our intelligence, strengthen our knowledge, so that when these situations happen, we can readjust and remember what is our purpose in life, what's our north, what's our true north, what's our goal in life, what's important to me. And we can say, this is not so good for my Krishna consciousness, and this is, therefore I'm going to go this way. And this is the education process that we're going through in brahmachari life or through Krishna consciousness, is how to increase and purify our intelligence to understand that our ultimate goal in life is Krishna consciousness. I'm running late here. I apologize. We started a little bit late, so I'm going to take a little bit extra time. Is there any questions, comments, thoughts, please? Jose.
I don't know how to put this question together, but it's a situation where one is not Krishna conscious. He is addicted to many things. And he becomes, he starts coming to the temple, he starts reading, he starts chanting, he gets more and more familiar with Krishna consciousness, and then, so he's fighting his feelings of like going back to addiction. And he's doing well, and then all of a sudden he goes back to it. And then he fights it again, and he comes back to Krishna consciousness. And then he stands out for a year, and then he comes back to it. And then, because of like physical need and psychological unbalances, so what's the point of view of that?
Well, Krishna says there's no loss or diminution in this process. So any advancement in Krishna consciousness is never lost. Matter of fact, when we start back up with the process, we start just where we ended. Material nature is tough. It will shake us. The wonderful thing about Krishna consciousness is that when material nature kicks our butt, it's a learning process. Maya is actually a very nice devotee of the Lord. She's doing a wonderful service to us. It might be hard to see it as a tough, you might have a coach that's really tough on you, making you run, making you get in shape so that you can play the ball game. So similarly, they're doing that for your benefit, right? So Maya is actually doing this for our benefit, so that we keep on hitting our head against this wall, and eventually go, this isn't for me. So sometimes these things happen where people might go away from Krishna consciousness for some time. But the wonderful thing about it is that Krishna is so merciful. When they decide to start up, they actually use that experience as a learning, oh, I did that, and I can see it wasn't for me. I picked this back up, and I can see my happiness start to increase. I can see the peace in my life. Anyways, you start to see that Krishna's reciprocation in your life. So this is Krishna as a person, his mercy. Yes, he lets us, if we decide to turn our back on him, he will let us go. But when we turn and face him, he'll be using these opportunities as a learning example. As long as we try to, the secret ingredient is sincerity. This is the main part, is that somebody, when they're coming to Krishna consciousness, they have a sincere desire to try to understand Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. And this is very helpful. Matter of fact, you can look at it like this, like the teacher, their favorite student might be that person that is taking a test and taking a test and they're failing and they're failing and failing and failing, and they get up and they try harder and they try harder. Talk to a teacher. They'll tell you how much they love that student. I don't care that they got a D. You know what? That person gets back up and they try hard and hard. Okay, but there's the other person who has all the ability in the world and they just don't use it. They go and they just, get a B or a C or this or that. The teacher, I'm not saying that they don't like that person, but it's not so attractive, right? So similarly, our sincerity, and that when we come back to Krishna consciousness, this is what Krishna's looking at, and he's appreciating, and he loves us for it. He loves us for getting back on the horse and riding. Any other comments on that point? How is that? Is that okay?
So it's not exactly the seven sinful. It's not exactly like I go back to Maya or sinful activities because I trust that Krishna will take me out of, forgive me. So it's more like an accident. That it's not a question, I just...
Yes, accident fall down happens. Like in Judbar, he was very pious, very, very pious, ruled the world very nicely. But he became attracted to this dough, and out of compassion, right? Similarly, Arjuna is on the battlefield, and he speaks so many wonderful reasons why not to fight, right? And it's due out of his compassionate nature as a devotee. But Krishna straightens him up because he inquires from the spiritual master about what to do, and Krishna straightens Arjuna up and says, boom, 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 speaks Bhagavad Gita. So similarly, this is a point that we really need to have those shiksha gurus and those spiritual masters that can help us through these problems, because we will become distraught in the face of material nature, and it's really most beneficial to read from Srila Prabhupada's books and inquire about what to do, because those people can help straighten us back up so we don't fall too far. Is that okay? Anybody else have any comments on that? Would like to? No? Okay, I've gone 10 minutes over. Apologize. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Pramanande. Vanchikalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvyeva cha patitanam panebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Antikoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.